But
Now, the garden.
you can't. You can't.
Oh, I don't know the exact verse. I'm
Is
just
it-
paraphrasing.
Yeah, is it like the-
We know Jesus prayed for. How can you say Jesus is God and he prayed at the same time?
Sure,
Stuff
sure,
like that.
sure. We just regard prayer as being communication with the divine. So if Jesus is God, a person of God, and the Father is a person of God, then when they talk to each other, particularly when Jesus is here on earth, he's praying to the Father. That's all. That's
Just out of
simple.
interest, do you believe?
Human.
Wait. Do you believe he's a prophet as well?
Huh?
Do you believe he's a prophet?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
He comes with prophecies, tells you about things that are going to happen in the future. He can.
believe in that.
Well,
No, wait. Yeah, just wait.
Well,
Yeah, the difference is
so
the divine
so
sense.
so for example, right? I can believe that Muhammad was a man,
Amen.
right? Yo, we believe in that, right? He's a man, right?
Yeah.
But
do
the
you believe
prophet part, nah, I don't believe that.
You don't believe
No, the proper parts.
Okay,
I don't believe that, right? So you see how like it's problematic. Holistically, in whole, Muhammad is in your belief, he's a man and the prophets. The
Yeah.
final one, in fact.
Yeah.
If I was to uphold one aspect of him
Okay.
and deny the other,
Okay.
then I am not speaking of the Muhammad you know.
So
So
he's still speaking about the
so
same man, but
Muhammad-
you're denying what
Muhammad's a man.
you're denying what I believe about him, but he's still the same man.
Okay. So now, well, I say this. When you speak about Jesus and you deny his divinity, you're talking about a different person.
No.
Because
No.
intrinsically,
No.
he is both human
No, we
and
deny-
divine.
No, we
We
believe in the
deny-
same
you
Jesus.
don't
You just
accept
believe
it.
something different about him.
There's no way you can believe in the same Jesus if every fact that you know about Jesus comes from Christian sources. Even the ones that are in the
We are
Quran.
mentioned in the Quran.
No, but there's.
Even the ones that are in the Quran.
No, but
they
we
all
don't
come from
believe.
Christian sources.
Hold up.
We don't have
We
extra.
don't. Wait. We don't believe that
No,
the
but-
things that we believe about Jesus, we believe from the Quran, not from the Bible.
Right, but they all come from, it's an origin point. So for example, I can showcase to you, yes.
Wait, so your argument is
yes,
basically that the
yes.
Quran.
You're saying
No,
that
wait.
it's subjective,
I can understand what your
It's
argument
not
is.
subjective. Let
I
me
think what you're
show you
saying
why.
is. Can I just? I think what you're saying is that the Quran, Muhammad had knowledge of the Bible. He put stuff together.
I don't
Is
think
that the
Muhammad
argument?
did have knowledge of the Bible in a very. I think Muhammad had about as much knowledge of the Bible as you guys do.
Okay.
I don't think he ever read it.
Like a scholar of the Bible.
I don't think he had the Bible over here and was like.
I mean, he was
copying.
unlettered. He probably never read the Bible. To be
Well,
honest.
unlettered can mean many things, right?
Yeah.
It can mean that he hasn't received revelation yet, for example.
Okay. Anyway, get to your point.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so my point is this, right? Everything that you know about Jesus comes from Christian sources. There's
agree with that
nothing.
statement.
Again, even the stuff in the Quran,
Yeah.
you can find it in Christian mythology.
Yeah, because we believe
Beforehand.
it comes from the same source.
Well, no, that's not good enough because so
Yeah, we believe in God.
well, no.
believe in God.
Yes, I believe
we
God
share the
sent
same God.
prophecies
No,
to Jesus.
that doesn't
That's
work the
why.
same. That doesn't work the same. No,
It does.
You can't just say that you believe in the same source. Therefore, you affirm mythology. Mythology are things that don't actually exist. Right? They are just stories that human beings have conjured that don't have any kind of
maybe not
divine
for
source
mythology
behind them.
specifically. I'm
Okay.
just talking about
Now, the things in
things
the
about
the
Jesus.
things in the Quran,
Yeah.
speaking from the cradle,
Yeah.
Mary being in the temple as a child, and then being raised by Zechariah.
Yes.
Things like him speaking from the cradle, Mary at the palm tree, for example. These things come from Christian mythology.
Yeah.
And I
No,
can
they
show
don't come from Christian mythology.
He's saying that.
Do you know
he's
why?
saying
Do you know,
that.
do you know why you see it
Right,
that
in
way?
his- in his way.
Because it
Because-
all comes from the same source.
well,
It all comes from God.
here's the problem.
God sent the Injil.
Here's the problem.
And he said the Quran as well.
Yes, so there's going to be similarities.
When you look at the mythological aspects that I'm telling you about,
I don't fully understand what you mean by. Can you give
So,
me an example of something?
absolutely. So, for example, things like Mary being in the temple,
Why is that mythological?
because
Maybe that's a fact.
there is no precedence of in first century Judea. Within the temple, the second temple built by Herod, there is no precedence for there being female Vestal virgins in the temple who are raised there
Well, so you're
and
saying
then
there's
given
no, like,
to
historical evidence. Yeah, but we believe that Mary is an outlier. She was
But
the only one.
The Quran tells you that she was raised there, right?
Yes.
In the temple.
Yes.
This did not happen to women in first century Judea.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mary's like a.
That's similar.
She's an outlier.
Can
She's an
you
outlier to the rule.
So you're
yeah.
saying she was like
prove
the only
that?
Yes.
Because here's why I say prove it, right? We have a second century. In the century after Jesus, after Mary, we have a second century document
Yes.
that claims to be a true gospel,
Yeah.
but we know it's false because it does not
What is
meet.
this gospel?
This is the infancy gospel of James. You can actually read it in full. It's just preserved. If you want to read it, it's in full. Now, in the Gospel of James, or the pseudo-apocrypha of James, it talks about Mary being raised in the temple, and then when she was 12 years old, she was given over to Joseph to be her guardian. And then when she was 16, it says these strange things began to happen, implying her being visited by the angel and told she would have a son.
Why
Right?
do you deny it?
We deny it because it does not meet the 4 criteria that we use to assign true gospels to our Bible.
What are those criteria?
4 criteria. It has to be from the 1st century because it has to have been written by the people who were with Jesus. In the 2nd century,
They have to
they're
have been with Jesus.
with Jesus.
Were these 4 canonical gospels? that
All
you
of
have,
them,
were they
yes.
with Jesus?
Yes. So the people who wrote them were all his apostles, people who were directly following him.
Disciples, would you say?
What, huh?
Is that synonymous with disciples?
So, any follower
Yeah.
can be called a disciple, like a teacher, a student of a message
Yes.
can be called a disciple. But strictly, apostles are a grade above disciples.
Based on?
They are the very people who walked with Jesus. For example, you have your Sahaba.
These are probably the how we'd say Hawariyun.
The
Hawariyun,
Hawariyun.
yeah.
The Hawariyun.
Hawariyun.
Exactly, right? So, moment please. Let me just go to the 4 criteria. So, in the 2nd
Has to be
century,
1st century.
they're all dead. So you can't write when you're dead.
You didn't see Jesus. Basically, you didn't see Jesus.
Well,
so you can't-
well, these guys are dead, right? So it has to be from them. If it's not from the 12,
Okay, but what if?
then we throw it away,
How
right?
do we, so this gospel.
That's the first one.
What's the gospel you did?
The,
The 2nd century.
the pseudo-apocrypha of James.
But how do you not know that James was with Jesus? Maybe it was just found
No,
100 years
no.
later.
So James was with Jesus, but the things in there point to, by the way, of how we judge this. They contradict what we have in prior scripture. So from the half of the 1st century all the way to the end, we had already accepted that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were 4 canonical gospels. All Christian communities, anywhere from Egypt, Ethiopia, Antioch, Asia Minor, even in Rome, accepted the 4. Now, if the things in the pseudo-apocrypha contradict the 4, then they can't be from the 1st century.
From Rome and Ethiopia with different beliefs.
No, same belief. Same belief. In the 1st century in particular.
Was there?
There's 2 more. Just 1 second, please.
Just can I
There's
just
2 more criteria.
With it, sorry, the 1st century Christians.
Yes.
So these first Christians.
Yes.
Were they Trinitarians?
Yes, absolutely. Even within the Bible itself, we see people like Peter referring to Jesus as the author of life. We see people like John, the
So what do
apostle,
you say
referring
of,
to
like,
Jesus as the Word of God who created all things.
I'm not
baptized with
super
baptism.
knowledgeable, but I've just. What do you say about like the Council of Nicaea, where like the Holy Spirit was added as a third?
You've heard it wrong.
Okay.
Here's the right version.
Could be a misconception.
Yes.
I'm saying okay.
In the very 1st century of Islam, I am not jumping, give me a moment, let me show you what I mean.
Let you make your point. Yeah.
In the very 1st century of Islam, there weren't arguments about if the Quran was uncreated or created, right? There weren't arguments about this, right? There weren't arguments about this. Nobody was bringing this up.
Yes.
In later centuries, it became a topic of conversation.
Okay.
And then you solidified the belief. Now, you would claim that what was solidified centuries later was the original teaching of Muhammad. In the same capacity, nobody was arguing about the Trinity being real or fake in the 1st century. There were people saying some things that were wrong. For
What
example,
about like the Unitarian, like Ebionites?
here's the issue though. People like the Unitarians of the 1st century were saying the opposite of what you Muslims say. Jesus is so much God that he wasn't even human.
I don't know about that.
He was a ghost.
I don't know.
That's
I'm
what
not-
they were saying.
Basically, there's a group.
That's what they were saying.
People that we know exist, which are known as Ebionites. They're Unitarian. They believe that Jesus is a prophet, God is God. Basically, what we say. He's saying it's the opposite. He's
It's
saying
the
that
other way
Jesus
around.
was so holy.
Was so much God that he wasn't even
He
human.
was, no, but they're
So he
Unitarians.
lacks
They
the
believe in the
human
Father.
nature.
Well, no,
That's not- they're not saying he's Unitarian.
they're not Unitarians. There's something that we will call monophysites. So by monophysites, so
Let
basically,
him explain.
everything has a nature. Things that you can ascribe to a certain kind of being, right? You are a human because you have the nature of a human. Lions have the nature of a lion. I can describe what that is, but you can get the point, right? There's a way I can differentiate you from a lion, right? Now, these guys believe that Jesus only had one nature,
Which is?
the divine only, no human.
And what do you say? He has a human
Both.
nature and a divine nature.
Yeah, he has to have both in order to redeem us as human beings. That's
Do you not
that's
see how that's a
what.
contradiction? Like,
Okay,
How can he be
alright,
God
alright.
and human at the same time?
By having two natures. In that way, I am not telling you that the divine nature is created, and I am not telling you that the human nature is uncreated. When you have two natures, then you can have two ascriptions onto a single person.
It's unclear.
That's how it's not.
It's unclear.
It's very clear. It's very clear. Okay, wait.
It's not logical.
Give me a moment.
You were
It is absolutely logical.
You're saying,
The
wait, so you're
only
saying,
way-
wait, so you're
a
saying-
realistic
wait,
thing
hold
that
on,
I
hold on.
have
So you're
ever
saying,
heard.
you're saying
Just because you don't
a
understand
deity-
something doesn't mean it's
a
wrong.
deity can be.
For example,
half.
physics.
Did you say half?
That
human?
Not
applies in
fully.
Quran as well.
Huh?
That applies in Quran as well.
Well, no.
You said if I don't understand it, so it's unclear. You said that.
No. I said just because you
It's
don't
100%
understand
100%
something doesn't mean it's wrong, right? That's what I mean.
How
It
can he
doesn't
be 100%? The question is, how can he be 100% human, 100% God?
Fully human feels hungry.
by having
A fully God doesn't feel hungry. How does it work the same way?
Awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
awesome.
It's fine, let him
So,
answer. That's-
if we said to you that Jesus has one nature,
Yeah.
and we're telling you that by that one nature he is both human and God,
Yeah.
then you can critique us. But we're telling you that he has two. And because he has two, he can have all the things that you can assign
Can he
to
have the
God.
two at once?
Let me finish. He can have all the things that you can ascribe to God.
See, I'm gonna give you.
I gotta finish, guys. Otherwise, you don't hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I gotta finish.
That's fine. Let him make his point.
I
and
gotta
then you can
finish.
respond. Yeah, let him make his point.
When you have the human nature, then you can ascribe all the things that you can to a human to Jesus. And when you have the divine nature, you can have all the things you can ascribe to the divine to Jesus.
Definitely.
And we don't tell. Oh, hey Bob, I was gonna bitch with you. We're not telling you that the two of them are mixing. We're not telling you that they're swapping places. We're not telling you that the human nature is uncreated. We are not telling you that the divine nature is created.
okay.
We're saying the opposite here. So because you have two,
So he's 100% human and 100% God.
well, if you want to say 100% to me fully, then yes. So essentially, everything that you can ascribe to a human being,
does he
you can
have-
ascribe to him. Same thing with the divine.
If he's 100% God,
It's not.
If he's 100% God, does he have full knowledge of everything?
Yes, he does.
So how does he not know the hour?
Ah,
So the Bible said
So-
he was made slightly lower than the angel to become a human. So there were things he limited himself.
So he stopped being God.
So he's not 100% God.
100% God. Exactly. He wasn't God.
analogous to
He was
this
made slightly
in
lower
Islamic
than the
doctrine.
angel.
Exactly.
So he's not 100%
So he
God.
left his
So
divinity.
he's not 100% God.
So he left his divinity.
How can a God leave his divinity?
The divine attribute.
Exactly.
Sahih Muslim 179. Yeah, I'll bring that up. Okay. So yeah,
It's okay.
Oh,
That's-
no worries.
He has an answer.
It's like I haven't heard it before.
Yeah.
So guys,
It's a genuine question, by the way. I'm not trying to trap you.
well, if it's a genuine question, right, you would have read the verse yourself and understood the context. But unfortunately,
maybe I've
you've
maybe
heard
this
it.
is my moment to understand it.
You've heard it from somewhere else, right? And now you think it's a point against Jesus. Okay. This simple. Jesus knows everything by virtue of him being God. However, not everything he knows will he reveal to
He
humankind.
lied.
He didn't lie. So,
Why did he create it? Yeah. Why did he say only the Father has the knowledge?
sure.
He's wrong.
That's a lie.
Right.
It's not a lie. So, the word that we have there that we translate in English to mean know, K-N-O-W, like Arabic, has a lot of meanings, right? It has what we call like a high semantic range, right?
Accept that for
No? Let me show you.
Not for Quran.
Let me show you why.
خليه يهضر.
It doesn't have 600 meanings. No. Oh, hey man. It doesn't have 600 meanings, right? It has a handful of meanings. One example is that we have the exact same word in the Greek being used in a different in the same context in a different verse in the Bible. So Paul, and this is
Sorry, just really quickly. The original Bible that you're saying.
this is a different question. Let me get to my point, and then
I
we
don't
can
want to
go
go
back.
away. I'm saying, is it Greek or Aramaic? The first
It's-
text that was given to Jesus.
It's no, not given to Jesus. It derives from him.
Whatever you
Okay.
believe. I'm saying,
Alright.
is it in Greek, Aramaic, Hebrew? What
Greek.
is it?
Let's just go with Greek.
Okay, we know that it's
All right.
Aramaic. It's not Greek.
Ah,
believe that it's
we know it's Aramaic.
Greek.
Can you provide evidence it's Aramaic?
It's fine. Go back to your point before.
Can you
Go back to your point
provide
before, because now
evidence
we're going all
that
over the
the
place.
original is
Just go
Greek?
back. Just go back.
Can you provide evidence?
Absolutely, yes.
That the original is Greek.
All the earliest
You don't-
manuscripts that we have are in
Any manuscript,
Greek.
at least you have, is from
Every
not
single
2,000
New
years ago, it's
Testament
from like
scholar
1,000
says
years
it's
ago.
in Greek.
1,500,
Prove that,
1,600.
please. Can you name the manuscript for me?
Can I name what?
Name the manuscript for me
I can't, I
from
don't
1,000 years
I
ago
don't know.
that we consider to be the earliest.
So you're making an
My,
assumption.
my brother, before you make claims, make sure that you know what you're talking about, because I will check you on all of them. Okay?
The earliest papyrus of the New Testament is Papyrus 52. It's about the size of a credit card.
Well, why year
However,
is it?
it's in Koine Greek. Everything in the 2nd century that you find as well is going to be in Koine Greek. The earliest Aramaic thing that you have in manuscript form is actually a retranslation into Aramaic from the already existing Gospels
have
themselves.
an Aramaic
It's actually a way of
Translation.
harmonizing the Gospels.
Translation.
So you don't have the original.
No, we do
already
have
saying
the
the
original
original's in
because the
Greek and
original is
that's
wrote in
already
Greek.
one thing.
Let me ask you a question, okay? If the entire region spoke what we call the lingua franca, which is the most common language at the time was Greek, would you rather write a manuscript in Galilean Aramaic, a very specific dialects that barely any people knew, or would you rather write it in the language that everyone spoke?
I do Aramaic personally.
Well,
Just make it hard.
I don't even want to
I
evangelize this small
wouldn't
region of
translate it and translate the translation and translate the translation, because then we
But
would lose the
there's no
meaning.
evidence
That's
that the
why we
original
Muslims,
is
we don't do that.
Aramaic.
Yeah, you do.
We don't do that.
How many
We have one
languages
Arabic
in the
Quran, we
Quran?
translate off
That's
it.
not
We don't translate off a translation of
That's not true.
But we don't say a translation of the Quran is the Quran.
No, never.
Yeah,
Okay.
we often say that.
So every Quran you have today is nothing like the original because
He said there's only one Quran.
I'm-
Okay, is the Hafs a Quran?
Is
The what?
Is the Hafs a Quran?
Is what?
Is Hafs a Quran?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, is the wash a Quran?
It's the same. Yeah, it's Quran.
Okay, is the wash and the Hafs identical?
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. There's different Arabic words in the Hafs and the wash. I can show you.
definition
that.
of Arabic.
مش هيفهموها.
There are different Arabic words. So they're not identical.
It's impossible for you to understand it.
Are
You know
the-
why?
are the-
You know why?
are the
Because you
diacritical
don't.
words in the Hafs and the
Sorry,
wash?
let me talk. It's impossible for you to understand it. You know why? Because you don't know Arabic. Speak Arabic.
But I don't need to speak Arabic.
You do.
That's the thing. That they're not the same.
We don't
For
have
example, okay, an Islamic
We don't
scholar,
have the same
Dr.
reference.
Fidel
We cannot talk.
Suleiman, has a translation of the 10 qira'at of the Quran, and when he gives the translation into English, there are not only different Arabic words, but his translation into English is different.
Hafs is not a language.
But, okay,
Wash is not
it's-
a language.
I know you want to say it's a different dialect. I know
Not
that's what you
dialect.
want.
No, it's not dialect. It's not
They're
language. It's
I
not
know.
accent. It's not.
I know, they're qira'ats.
same.
I know they're not the same. I can show you.
It's the same.
Okay, I can show you differences in the Hafs and the wash.
Let me give you an example in English. It's like you write I am or am with apostrophe. It's the
Okay,
same.
that's different though.
That's not
I
different. That's
am,
language.
no, but they're still different words.
One is
So
academic and one is not.
In a sense of
One is
identity,
academic and
we
one is
have
not.
two
The
distinct
word here to
Qur'ans there,
forget
whether you like
is
it or not.
also what we
Do you think
translate.
that? Do you think that
No.
all Saudi Arabia in that
the
time
verses you
speak the
mentioned,
same
like
language, the
the
same
Father.
dialect?
Okay,
the same-
look, here you have an example.
That's Hafs and that's one. Okay,
the English language would be astray by this.
Sure.
ولنا أعمالكم ولكم أعمالكم.
ولنا أعمالنا ولكم أعمالكم ولنا أعمالكم أعمالكم ونحن مخلصون أم يقولون أم تقولون
Okay, now read the translation there.
Yes.
Or
أم
do you
يقولون
say, or do they say?
It says the same meaning.
They say versus you say.
It has the same meaning.
Okay. I'm not
If you
asking.
read the whole-
Wait. I don't
Yes.
think you understand what I'm asking you. I'm not saying that the meanings have to be different. All I'm saying is that there is a difference in the Arabic in these two works. Can you
Definitely.
agree with that? Okay,
Definitely.
good.
Okay.
So then, in a sense of identity,
writing, in the writing.
then in a metaphysical sense of identity, you do have two different Qur'ans, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Is the Hafs the Qur'an?
Yes.
Okay, when you make that statement, is the is that you're using there an is of identity or predication?
So when Jesus said,
I'll give you an
"No one knows
example.
me now,"
The is of identity
You know
is
why? You know why? Because we don't believe it's a fact that Warsh is
have the
Hafs,
exact
and
same
it's
knowledge.
every
I know you
single
don't show
qira'ah
that
of
they're
riwayah.
each other, but you do
There is
say
10
that
ten
do
قراءات.
you make the statement that the Hafs is the Quran?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So when you make that statement, either it's an is of predication.
meaning of a
So
word
predication is
It's
a
not
quality
predication.
that I. Okay, not predication.
No.
So then the problem is the only other is
not either this
is an
or
is of identity. These are the two ways we use the word is in English. It's the only two ways. And the problem is an is of identity. In the rule of identity, there is a law called transitive identity. So you have to say that the has is or
You can explain this. We're talking about it.
Because it doesn't change. For example, the rules. If you read Hafs, if you want to learn Salat in Hafs or in Wash, it's the same. It's same Salat.
I'm not trying to tell you that there are discrepancies between them that are like destructive to the meaning of the
Listen,
text.
all of them
But what I'm
was
saying-
revealed to the same prophet.
Sorry, can I ask the same question in Bible? Can I ask it? Okay, how many Bibles there are?
Okay.
How
if
many?
You're speaking in a metaphysical sense.
Give me a number,
then the
please.
same way
Give me
in
a
which one
number.
says-
That word
hold
is
on.
used.
The
Give me
same
a
way in
number.
which
That
one
or
says that there are multiple Qur'ans
now,
could be
if
the
we
same
go
way
to,
that there are
We don't have
multiple
multiple
Qur'ans.
Qur'ans, you have only
Yeah,
one.
okay, and this is why I'm demonstrating this principle to you, right? Because you said earlier that the Hafs is the Quran is a statement of identity. We've already demonstrated that that's false because an inference rule of identity is that if two things are equal to that of a third, those two things are equal to each other. I'll give you an example.
They are equal.
I'll give you an
They are
example.
equal.
If Bill
They are
Clinton
equal.
is identical to the 42nd President of the United States, and the 42nd President of the United States has grey hair, therefore Bill Clinton has grey hair. So this inference rule of identity is if A and B equal the same C, A must equal B. Those are identity statements.
Same words.
The problem is if you say that the sentence the Hafs is the Quran is an is of identity, then you would have to say the Hafs is identical to any other thing which is also identical to the Quran. But you said earlier the Hafs is not the Wash, the Wash is not the Al-Quri. I'm talking about the principle of identity. So you would have to say it's an is of predication. But the problem is how we count predication.
Okay,
To notify.
he's saying that,
And then if you
and you can
look down, sorry,
correct me.
in this
Okay.
He's saying that
you can see
why
different
is
verses
Hafs
where it's
a
used
Quran in Arabic,
phrase.
and it is Arabic. Why it's not the same as Warsh,
Because
and they have the same meaning?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
No. What
You
I'm
just
saying,
mentioned
okay.
identity
Listen,
and
listen,
plus.
No. Wait. Just to correct this, because
I
you're
want to
clearly
explain to you the
misunderstanding what I'm saying, right? I'm saying I'm being very
that's why.
specific. I'm
Remove the
talking,
identity,
I'm
please.
talking in metaphysical terms.
You can't. You can't. You
Good.
can't.
So if
can't
if
do
you
that,
say
no.
that,
You can't
okay,
do that
then
in
if
the
you
Quran.
can't,
Well, because it's a language.
Listen.
It has meaning.
Being
When we're
part
telling
B.
you
Anything
that
that
actually the
exists is
context
falling
is
under the
different, huh?
category metaphysics, right? So when you say that the Hafs is the Quran, all I'm asking you is that statement a statement of identity or predication? I already gave you the problem if it's a statement of identity. If it's neither,
Well,
then
let me
it's not the
answer, man.
Quran. You can't make the statement. Why not?
Let me answer. You don't want an
Because
answer.
then you can't tell me- Okay, all right. Answer the
Can you hear
question.
me?
When you say the Hafs is the Quran, is that an is of identity or predication?
I don't know what that even means, bro.
Okay,
define it.
predication is a quality that you ascribe to a thing. So, for example, my name's Thomas, by the way. If I was to say
answer that. You
Thomas
can
is
answer that.
white or
you-
Thomas
yeah.
is a human, that is an is of predication.
No,
And if I am to say Thomas is his mother's first child, that's my identity. The statement A equals A is identity.
that
For
means
example, if I was to say Bill Clinton is the 42nd president of the United
understand your
States,
question. I
that's
understand.
identity. So when you make the
Hafs is
statement, okay, is that when you say is the Quran, is it
Identity.
an is
Identity.
identity? Okay. Now here's going to be the problem. I already laid it out to you. In identity, there is an inference rule known as transitivity, which is just to say if two things equal a third, those two things must equal each other. So
Same thing with the Trinity, no?
okay, wait, we can get onto the Trinity after. But we're talking
Isn't
about
that
this
the
for
same
now.
thing?
So-
Isn't that the same logic?
well, we can get onto the Trinity after, but we're just talking about this for now so we can focus ourselves on this. So the problem would be is if you say that the Hafs is identical to the Quran, that would mean the Hafs would also be identical to the Wash, because the Wash would also be identical to the Quran. So you can't make that statement.
Let me tell you it in a very simple way.
Okay.
Hafs is a way to read the Quran,
and understand.
and the Warsh is a way to read the Quran. It's like 7 different Qur'ans. It's like if you know Arabic, that's the thing, you don't know Arabic. But if you know Arabic, you would see the differences are like Malik Yawmiddin or Malik Yawmiddin. It's the difference
But
like
they're not identical.
they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they aren't, but they are.
Okay, if they're not identical, that's all my argument. I'm not saying to you that I need to say there are
The thing is,
discrepancies that are made.
when we tell you,
there is
listen,
not an identity relation.
Listen, sir. When we tell you you have many Bibles, we don't mean God went down many Bibles. We say like the Christians corrupted it. Or when we say there is 7 Qur'an of the Quran, it's all from God.
Yeah, but
all of them the Prophet teaches us. All of them.
Okay, so then
from the different nations,
right?
they all speak to
If
different
you're saying
languages.
that there are 7 qira'at and they are all from Allah, then you have to say that it's not an is of identity, because otherwise they'd be identical to each other. So now you're saying it's an is of predication, right? You're saying the quality that we're ascribing to these things is that they are the Qur'an.
Qur'an is like accidents.
I'm aware that you want to say that's accents. I'm aware that you want to say that they're accents, but the problem is if you say that it's in a predicative sense, then you're going to count 7 Qur'ans, right? So similar to this man is a human, you are a human, and I'm a human. Humanity is a quality that we ascribe of each person, but we count 1, 2, 3 humans. In this same sense, you would count 3 Qur'ans. But of course, we have over 10 Qur'ats, so you would have 10, if not more, Qur'ans, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, so you
The
have
Quran
10 plus
is equal to
Qur'ans.
each other.
Yeah,
They have the same. Let me finish, okay? They have the same meaning. Okay? It's like they are from. Where are you from? They are from Algeria, and I'm from Palestine. Now they can call me a dog in Arabic, and I could call them a dog, and it will be a different word. It's just the accent that is different.
Exactly.
Same thing with the.
That's not my objection.
It is.
No,
You say
that's not my
Malik
objection.
Yawm al-Din and Malik Yawm al-Din.
Okay, wait.
They say Malik, they say Malik.
Wait. To demonstrate that you're
That is the same
listening,
meaning.
can you repeat back to me what my objection is?
Yeah.
It's same
I'll
thing.
find it.
Wait. To demonstrate to me that you've been listening to what I'm saying, can you repeat back to me what my objection to your position is? Because everything that you're saying is not actually addressing my argument.
So it's agreeing with you.
It's
Then
just
we're on
not,
the same
no,
page.
you're just speaking past me because you're not actually addressing what I'm saying. So can you repeat back to me what I've said my argument is to you?
And like in a shortcut, there is the more there is Quran, the more there is Quran. That's what you said.
No. What I said is, when you make the statement, the Hafs is the Quran, the Wash
Yes.
is the Quran,
Yes.
the Al-Duri is the Quran. The statement can either be, when we say something is something, it's either an identity statement or a statement of predication. And we've already demonstrated...
That makes it more than one. I understood that.
But we've already demonstrated that identity is impossible here. And
Doesn't that go the same with the
and we've
Trinity?
demonstrated that predication would lead to there being 10, if not more, Qur'ans. So if you don't have a rebuttal to that, then you should probably take back what you said earlier when you were saying to this gentleman that there is only one Qur'an.
Yes. The Hafs is the Quran, the Warsh is the Quran, but I say both of them are the same.
Okay, how many Qur'ans is that?
Qira'at or Qur'ans?
Qur'ans.
Quran one.
Because you're saying that these Qur'ats are Qur'ans themselves.
It's like a different accent to read the book. So Allah, to make it easy for the nations, there was a million nations in the Arabic.
Have you heard of the hadith where there's a gentleman dragging another guy by the scruff of the neck for reciting the Quran differently, even though they were both from the Quraysh tribe? Have you heard of the hadith where there was a man dragging another man by the neck and he brought him to the Prophet Muhammad and he said to him, this man is reciting the Quran differently, and Muhammad said that he's just reciting another afruf, right? But both of the people there were from the same tribe, the tribe of Quraysh, right? So if they're just accents, why then would there be two people fighting over recitation if they should be reciting the same accent?
However, in a certain context,
I have friends who live in the same city, we speak different words.
Yes, but if you're
The
from
Arabic
the same
language
tribe,
is
you would
so
recite the
complicated.
same accent.
What?
If you're from the same tribe, you would recite the same accent.
Me and my friend, we live both in Nazareth, the city of Jesus. He speaks a different type of way, I speak different type of way.
But you and your friend aren't from the same
We are.
ethnic tribe, are you?
I am from Nazareth, he is from Nazareth.
Yes, but are you
Like
from
you mean
the
the
same
neighborhood?
Yes, but are you from the same tribe that speaks the same dialect? What I'm making a clear point to you is that the people from Quraysh
So you're saying it's
speak the
impossible for two people in Quraysh for them to have different accents.
It's just
No,
like
no,
in the
I'm saying that's impossible.
I'm not saying that it's impossible to sound differently, but to recite differently, it would be improbable that two people from the same tribe would recite the same accents. Not even that this is even part of my argument, but this is just a side point to point out to you that no one in the academic literature really says that Afroof are accents. Because not only is it inconsistent with the Hadith
Yeah, well,
literature,
to make you
but none
understand,
of the Hadiths actually
it's
tell you.
qira'at, but you know what qira'at means. I can't explain it. But I'm telling you, it's like the close thing to accents.
Okay.
I gave you an example.
Yes, can you show me a single hadith that says that the Afroof are accents?
What's Afroof?
Do you know the 7 Afroof?
Oh, yeah.
The 7 Afroof? Because where do we get the Qira'at from? We get the Qira'at from the 7 Afroof, correct?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Can you show me a single hadith where it says that Afroof are accents?
evidence for it to truly
Yeah, can you show me one single hadith that says...
For example, you look to Luke 6:45.
Sorry, just ignore
I am
it.
Palestinian. I am Palestinian, Habibi.
You can
I am
then infer
Palestinian.
and make a logical
Okay.
conclusion.
Yeah, I was asking you a question though, right? Can you show me a single Sahih hadith that says that Afroof are accents?
Additionally, the reason why I like going to Mark 13,
I wouldn't know of them.
Okay, because there is none. Can you show me a single Sahih hadith that speaks of the Qira'at?
Even the angels in heaven.
I'm sure I can, like if I search it.
There's no hadith that speak of the Qira'at, and there's no hadith that tell you what Afroof
there
are.
is. I remember
So
one.
when you make the statement, okay, well you can come back and show me sometime if you want, but I can tell you it's not there. My point to you is not only does my argument not depend on it not being accents, but there is also no reason from the data at hand for you to conclude that they are just accents. As a matter of fact, there is more reason to suspect that they are not accents because we have examples in the Hadith literature where people from the same dialectic tribes recite it
Yeah, but
differently.
wouldn't be a good argument to say Allah wanted to make it easier for them?
So Allah wanted to make it easier for the people from the Qurayshi tribe
Not
to
from only from the
recite it
Qurayshi,
differently.
from all the Arabian Peninsula.
Yeah,
the
but I'm
Arabian
bringing-
islands.
If I may, how does Allah make it easy for the Arabic-speaking Christians, for example, who were in Yemen or in North Arabia at the time? What roof did He provide for them? None. So it's a void statement. He made it easy for a very small, select few people.
And those select few people, they go and make da'wah, they bring people to Islam.
But with different dialects. So, for example, how is a Jassanid Christian in Northern Arabia in the 6th century or 7th century supposed to understand Qurayshi Arabic?
There is translation, stuff like that.
Oh,
What's
so
your point?
now that's valid. Before it wasn't valid, but now it's valid.
I don't understand your point.
So now translations are valid when before you told me that
Translation are always
translations
valid
were
as
not
long
the
as you
Quran.
don't translate the translation. You understand what I mean?
Can you please prove that? So you made a statement. Can you prove that it's true?
That what?
That translations are only valid so as long as you do not translate something that has previously been translated.
I'm sure you deep down agree that if you translate a translation of a translation, there is a meaning that will go off there. There's a meaning that will get lost.
You need to prove that.
I'm Arab, okay? If I put an Arabic sentence in Google Translate and to English,
But in
like
any
the-
point of a translation chain, there is always a possibility for meaning to be lost, even in the first translation. So,
Exactly.
for example,
So
I
if you do a
translate-
translation of a
wait,
translation of a translation
wait,
of a
but
translation.
your claim was it's fine to do a first translation,
Well, not a
just
second.
as long as you don't do a second.
gotta
right?
prove that.
But you could still possibly lose meaning
In
from
the
the
first.
first, right? So the argument is kind of self-redundant.
No, listen. Let me explain it to you.
Okay, here.
I'm bad at English. I don't know how to explain
Okay,
it. So,
okay.
listen.
do this. Explain why one translation is fine, and then let's see if we can't apply that to a second.
Alright, listen to me to the end, okay? I believe if you have a book, okay, and you want the book to for another people who know a different language to read it, you translate it to them. Imagine these people would go and translate the book to another people, and these would go to translate to them, translate to them. The meaning would be lost somewhere. The same thing he said that in the French translation, there's a chance that you might lose the meaning. Then how about the 5th and the 6th? Wouldn't you lose all of the meaning?
So by that same logic, then wouldn't it
Answer
just
me,
make
wouldn't you lose
wouldn't
all
it
the
just be
meaning?
redundant to do any translations at all?
No, but
So
if you
then,
do a one
so
translation,
according to your logic,
you would have
every
like
translation that you get of the Quran
Is
must
worse
be
than the
one
previous.
directly from
Yeah.
Allah, right?
if you have one translation, it will be way closer for you to understand the Quran than if you had a fifth translation.
Okay, this is why I think the Christian understanding is a bit more consistent, right? Because in your understanding, you're saying that at any point in the translation, there's a probability that it can be lost. So we shouldn't make these translations that aren't other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for the Prophet Muhammad in the 7 Ahruf and the Qira'at in which we get after it. Now, the problem with that is there are obviously people outside of that diaspora who speak different dialects of even other languages and Arabic. So in order to give dawah to those people, you're going to have to further translate that even in the concepts you provide them. Now, with Christianity, what has been left to us is not just the Bible itself, which we do translate, but also the church in which God is guiding through the Holy Spirit in order to provide correct doctrine to the people. So God works through the church in order to spread Christianity to all nations and all people.
I understand your
problem
point.
that you're going to have.
I would say I'm not that educated on the translation. So I say I understand your point.
So why would you make bold claims about translation if you don't know about them?
You don't want to be making assumptions.
Yeah, it was an assumption, to be fair.
So
I'm honest.
why would you make?
I really do.
It was an
respect that.
assumption. But don't you believe that a first translation is better than a fifth?
Not necessarily.
Simple question.
I can
Not
see why you
necessarily.
make that assumption. You know?
I can see why you would
We
make the
can
assumption
keep the
based on-
original manuscript.
based upon the idea that translations would get worse the more they're translated. However, that isn't necessarily the case. For example, people who handle translations can speak more than just one language. So it would depend upon the quality of the translator. For example, if you had exceptional translators and it was translated 100 times,
That's true.
I'll be confident with this. That's all.
Can I ask you my question that I wanted to ask you like 11 minutes ago?
Go for it, man.
That's about the Trinity.
Go for it.